Hey, Yowzo, what's up everyone? It's not just your average Joe, and I'm gonna be doing a video on kind of like healer builds, to help you out if you need it. So, first you want to look at base stats as usual. So, I know for a fact, like, I'm gonna compare Azama and Priscilla just for the video's purposes. Well, Azama is more of a defensive healer, he's more of like a defensive wall, and Priscilla is more of like a resistance based wall. So Azama is the type of unit, the type of healer where he can tank a hit. Not a magic one, but maybe bow users. And then he can bring the pain and do 10 damage. Like his attack's low anyway. And the way the healers work is they're not meant to be offensive, so they don't do much damage. So pain, I would argue, is probably better because it guarantees you 10 damage. So that's the thing about Azama, but Priscilla is the type of unit where she does have a bit of, I think it's a little bit high, her attack, but it's not really much. And you'd only really use her to tank magic hits, which is fair, right? So when you think about it, you want to have your unit to not just be, well, like kind of useless. You want them to have a purpose as well, like sort of like a little bit of an offensive, a little bit of offensive capabilities, so that they're just not there to get blown out of the gate. Yeah, you know that when you're using them. Azama, for example, too, he has Martyr, so if he suffers damage, he heals more, which is why I like about Martyr. I put Renewal because it helps him live longer in the higher stratum areas, but it really does work counterintuitive to Martyr, because Martyr requires a lot of damage. But the thing is, if the other units don't have a lot of damage, then you don't heal as much yourself. So that's why I put Renewal. In terms of A slots, I would just honestly put a stat boosting A slot. So either defense plus 3 or resistance plus 3 or anything of the like. I'm gonna compare Rehabilitate and Martyr in a second. So Martyr is also good with Defiant skills. So definitely for a unit like Azama with high defense, either Defiant defense or Defiant speed, because speed has defensive properties. Because why take a hit twice? You don't need that, right? So if you don't have to take another hit, that increases your longevity, So Zama, for example, I will probably give him Defiant Speed, but if you want optimal, probably Defiant Defense. You could give him Defiant Resistance. That's more akin to Priscilla because she's more resistance based. Defiant Resistance definitely works, but Defiant Speed works no matter which one is more either the unit's more healer's more defensive or more resistance based. Defiant Speed will work out normally. So those are just ideas for the A slots. Well, there's not really that much to be perfectly honest. In terms of the healing skills, it really varies. For Azama, who can take a bunch of hits, I prefer Martyr over Rehabilitate because I want him to take the hits. Rehabilitate is more for healers who can't really take a hit. So units like maybe Sarah, Clarine to a lesser extent, Priscilla a little bit too. Like I would have Rehabilitate on them because they can't really take a hit, so you don't really want them to take a hit. But it also depends on the unit that's trying to hit them, because like Sarah's resistance is okay and Priscilla's resistance looks like it's gonna be okay. Rehabilitate Renewal is better on a unit with Rehabilitate because you're not recovering HP any other way, right? Because Rehabilitate doesn't heal you, but it helps heal the other units a lot faster, which is really good. So units with 2 HP get a lot more HP healed than they would if they had like 30 HP and then they had a max of 34. So Rehabilitate works like that, and you tend to want to have a B slot that's like probably most likely Renewal. But other B slot options is Wings of Mercy, especially with Rehabilitate. It's amazing with Wings of Mercy Rehabilitate. Martyr is pretty good with Escape Route. Like those two combo well as well. Like I just want to put that out there, especially doing some Mercy with Rehabilitate. That one pisses me off. The Escape Route not so much because you're really relying on the other unit having. First of all, you need space for them to be able to be healed. So there's restrictions already because like Priscilla's Cavalry so she can't go on trees, and it usually works in melee units. If your magic based units maybe might not work as well, but you know it's still an option. I mean, I would like to bring up the breakers, but it's just too much variety to be perfectly honest with you, and. I think Azama is really the only unit where I would give a breaker because you want him to take hits. All the other ones not particularly. I guess defensively you could give him the melee unit breaker, so dagger breaker or any of those, and then Priscilla I would probably argue is better off with like a tome breaker. So, you know those are just options, just so you know, and C slots for Azama threatened attack does work with his nice defense because it's 30. So it kind of combos that way. In the same way, threatened attack would work with Priscilla if she was facing magic users, because then they wouldn't be doing as much or any damage at all. Yeah, but that's not to say you shouldn't use other C slots, because Priscilla comes with spur defense, and this is actually pretty good if you think about it, because other than bow units and thieves, most of the time you'll be healing from the back and she won't get damaged anyway. So you might as well aid the unit in front that you're healing. So Spur is fine. Hone is fine as well. Any of those skills work well. Anyone really. But the defenses is harder to kind of gauge because the units aren't always the same weapon type, right? I would probably, like, if you want consistency, Hone Attack or Hone Speed is always a good option, especially Hone Speed, because like I said, it has offensive and defensive properties to it. So, you know, that's just something to keep in mind. Threatened Speed also works. Just give me 1 second, I don't want to mess up that team. Threatened Speed also works because it makes the other units slower, which could help you survive more hits. You know, that could work. Yeah, but when you're thinking about the C slot, you kind of have to think about the composition of your team. If your team is mostly melee based units, right? You want your healer maybe to tank a few magic hits, do some back, or aid in their low resistance, whatever. Or you could just go all out and just give them a Hone Attack or a Hone Speed, so they just obliterate the magic user or whatever. So yeah, that's how you kind of have to go about it. But for the most part, I would say Hone is good, but I wouldn't write off Threaten. I wouldn't write off any of the Threatens. They're all excellent. Barring maybe Threaten Defense and Threaten Resistance, maybe not as useful, but definitely Threaten Speed and Threaten Attack. So yeah, that's everything. Thank you for watching, and later days.